Yeah. Let's get the volume going. There we go. Okay, got that set up, Let's turn this a little bit so I can see when somebody comes to chat. Just want to make sure of something before I load in. Oh no, I didn't mean to quit all the way. Sorry about that, guys. Here we go. I just wanted to make sure. August 11th. Are these autosaves? Huh. Okay. I must have had to go past the chapter phase. Okay. "778 grinned and rubbed his hands together. That was a great question. Oh yeah. So Slakes just asked a question. I believe it was, what is your method? That was a great question. Now we'll know if the game master is a detective, and if he is, we may be able to figure out who he is through what method he says. I was amused by the situation Greg had gotten himself into. What would he say? My method. It's nothing special. I just schedule the rounds like anyone would. Ah, he dodged it by interpreting Sleek's question in a different way than Sleek's had intended. Boo! I was a little annoyed on behalf of the other detectives. Slake sighed and rubbed his eyes, looking ashamed. I can't believe it. I should have phrased it so he wasn't able to do that. Next time for sure. Okay, contestants. You are now allowed back into the competition. About time. I'm sure sick of this place. I'm sick of it. And I was here a fraction of the time you were. We walked out. I need to turn down the volume a little bit. This is a little bit loud. I like the music in this game, but this might just be too loud. We walked out of the room towards the lobby. 778 hopped up the stairs, which I knew he did, but had never seen him do it in person. It seemed like a waste of energy and far too active for me to attempt. When we got to the lobby, I glanced at the clock. We were just in time for the third round ranking announcement, but we missed dinner. They had food somewhere in the hotel, but I didn't like it much. In 5th place, Detective Roll. In 4th place, Detective Sess. This time, I was sure it was Kane. 3rd place, Detective Slakes. In 2nd place, Detective Red July. And in 1st place, Detective 778. Oh, 778 had moved up to 1st? Only because he cheated, though. He looked like he was going to cry tears of happiness, despite it not being a real victory. Just kidding. 778 cheated this round by teaming up with Detective Slakes. They both have been moved to the bottom of the list. Roll, Sess, and Red July are 2nd, 3rd, and 1st. Instantly, 778's tears turned from happy ones to sad ones. What did he expect, though? You'll work your way back up and around. Just don't cheat next time. Also, 778's partner Nell technically wasn't helped to solve the case, but simply repeating what Detective Sleeks was saying. She is no longer 778's partner. A new one will be selected for him soon. What? Yes, she was. But what about the 4th floor rule? If they're in the upper 25%, the partners are locked in, aren't they? That was only the first stage. There is no floor in this hotel. In this stage, the partners are required to help with every mystery. This is a development. I promise I'll stay in the competition. Someday we'll work together again. I predict rain and promise nothing. Really? I was trying to be nice as usual, but maybe that's been my mistake all along. I'm actually glad I don't have to be your partner anymore. Goodbye. Nell walked away without another word. I could tell she was hurt by 778's cold dismissal. 778 looked down at the floor. Harsh? Who's the jerk now? It's time for our first partner switch announcement for stage 2. Now we'll be partnered with Detective Ether and Detective 778 will be partnered with Detective Melly. Ah. They set it up this way so I could infiltrate Tads. I refuse. I've changed my mind. I'll keep Nell as my partner. The speakers remained silent. 778 took off one of his large shoes and threw it at the speaker. It made an impressive clunk, but the game master still didn't answer him. Did you hear me? I'm not changing partners. Stop making such a scene, you attention magnet. Definitely Kane. Nobody cares. To be precise, even the small percentage of the population represented in the hotel lobby doesn't care. And they matter the most. Either you can whine about something you could have prevented and quit, or you can shut up about it and press on. You're not entitled to keep your partner. That's all I'll say about this. Head to your rooms for the next round, please. Is it just me, or did the game master get extremely opinionated? You deserved it. But I agree with you switching back to Nell. Melly deserves a better partner. You tried to bail on her. I hate switching partners. It's like light bulb jokes. No matter who's switching what, there's always a punchline. I don't understand the analogy. Yeah, how many chickens does it take to screw in a light bulb? How many blah 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 does it take to screw in a light bulb? That's smart. It's like an or no. Don't even think about it. Slakes walked away. Well, this was really awkward. Maybe we meddled too much in the contest. Sorry about Nell, but our names are pretty much the same. Oh, Mel, Nell. So what's the difference? Look, I can do a Nell thing. You're so annoying. Does that help? No. You seem to know a lot about the other detectives for somebody who was stuck in a room this whole stage. Look, my problem is I blend in really well. I blend, and I observe. Blend and observe. Huh? It's like you aren't even there. That's because I'm blending and observing. That you have a very clown-like aesthetic. Well, that's because my parents were clowns. It was the exact same way he said it to Nell. So, what is a trigger chain? It's how my brain works. It's a little like memorization. I can perfectly recall experiences or information in my life when I hear certain words. I associate memories with words very easily. A word like clean brings to mind a very specific memory I have. But for it to be useful, I have to string together several words in a chain. That's why I call them trigger chains. That's fish-tastics. Blech. That's fish-tastic. Now, did she gave herself away in 2 sentences. She said that she has trigger chains. What's her nickname, actually? And then there's something else she said that gave herself away. If I needed to remember, say what a salad fork does, could I come up with the trigger? What's the criteria? Since it's specific, salad fork would probably work fine. But a more general oh yeah, because she said it's from memory. Not that she's figuring out something. She said it's from memory. But a more general word like cloud is associated with many, many memories. To keep my memories from overwhelming me, I usually end up making a nonsense word to recall it. Like, I have to link memories to trigger chains as I experience them. Otherwise, the memory's gone forever. Are you going to try to remember this moment right now? Sure, why not? I'll remember this moment as fish-tastic. That's very fish-tastic indeed. Stored in my mind, in the mind locker. What stickers are yours? Mine has a duck sticker. Coming from the duck is a speech bubble that says, out to lunch. If it isn't a fish with you, it's a duck. Well, they're the funniest animals. My mind locker has a note stuck on with a piece of gum that says, out to lunch. 778 laughed. I was pleased because I'd noticed he'd never laughed at anyone else's jokes. I never forgot that fish-tastic moment. Even though I didn't really need to remember it, sometimes it's nice to think back on, I guess. I felt bad for Nell, But on the other hand, she had cheated in the contest. In a way, she was lucky the contest was completely rigged. She would have been out in the first round. Someone to talk to. Do you know what kind of people I hate to work with? People who take things seriously. Luckily, Detective 778 demonstrated how he didn't fit in that category of people immediately after the investigation started. Melly, are you ready to stand on your head? Maybe later. Excellent, Melly, excellent. Should we look around for clues or something? Yes, Melly. That's what we must do. Because we are detectives. Right, but the game master hasn't said anything yet. That just means we have a head start. There's a business card on the table. It's from a brokerage firm founded by Mr. Decapito. Yep, I've got one too. Interesting. I think something's in the bathroom. Oh. Our lovely game master chime sounded. Welcome to the 4th round of stage 2. The mystery is called severance pay. As usual, here is the case file. Finally. Mr. Decapito was found decapitated in the bathroom with the key card to his hotel room. His violent business co-founder, Mr. Archimedes, was staying in an adjacent room and was arrested. Both the bathroom and hotel rooms were locked from the inside when the crime was discovered. You do not have access to the autopsy report. Present a motive for the crime and the suspect's file. So, Toya likes to turn her victims into living weapons. One death is not enough for her violent taste. Riggs kills his victim by using principles of engineering. Filter kills his victim by noxious gas. He's an expert chemist. Shrunk kills her victims by cutting off their heads, then preserving those heads in healing fluids. This is a tricky one, so we gave you a bit of a head start. As you can tell from the case file, this is a locked room inside a locked room. Both the hotel room and the bathroom were locked from the inside. Your time starts now. Exciting! A whole new scene to investigate. Yeah, exciting. Of course, I'd known there was something in the bathroom, but exactly what the solution to the mystery was, I couldn't remember. Good thing I had my trigger chains in case I forgot or got stuck. There's a trail of blood running down the door. Too thin and high to be part of natural blood splatter. I agree. Looking at it upside down, it really does stand out. I think it stands out no matter how you look at it. The bathroom was locked from the inside with a sliding bolt, I assume. I'm not sure I know of any way the killer could have locked it from the inside from the outside. Really? What about magnets? No, there'd be leftover evidence. Tape and string? The tape would be on the lock. What about a spring? What about a spring? I don't know. That's not helpful. I'm going to try hopping on one foot. That'll probably help. Good idea. And so the hopping competition began. A decapitated victim. What a violent mystery, I'll say. Decapitated and bashed on the head. Bashed on the head? My victim has a large bruise on his head. I don't think mine does. Mr. Decapitito had figured out how clever our names were. There's a hotel key card on the toilet. I've got it too. I assume that's what locks the hotel door. Wait a minute. Both the bathroom and the hotel were locked. How did the killer get the hotel key card back inside the bathroom after locking the hotel door? Sounds impossible to me. It was completely impossible. Just the kind of clue we game masters love. We investigated all there was to investigate. I was eager to hear what 778 had come up with. So the mystery is more complex than it appears. For one thing, hey! That's exactly 100% what I was gonna say. Oh, really? Sorry. No big deal. But you're right, Nell. I'm not Nell. I'm Melly. Right. Sorry. Now that we finished apologizing to each other, let's try to solve the mystery, yeah? Sounds good. Okay, well, let's start with the method of death. Yup. What do you think cut off Mr. Decapito's head? That's what I was going to ask you as part of your training. I don't need training, buddy. I've been a detective for 12 years. How about you tell me what you were thinking? Because I already have an answer. Why don't you tell me your answer, Melly? Okay. Well, we'll just say it on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Razor wire. Hello? Yep, razor wire, yeah. That's what I was thinking as well. Is this mystery stumping you a little, 778? You sound stumped. I am not stumped. It's just a little more complex than usual. Yeah. Razor wire does make sense. It fits with the line of blood on the bathroom door. If it's razor wire, that explains how the killer could have killed the victim from the outside of the bathroom. Hypothesis. He could have used the 2 doors as a pulley system, pulling the victim up and the wire through the door, cutting off the head. That does make sense. The weapon is neatly removed from the inside of the bathroom. However, there's a huge flaw with your hypothesis. Can you see what the problem is? There are no flaws. I'm an amazing detective, and that's that. Time to submit our deduction. I'm joking. Ha ha. Good one. A major flaw in my hypothesis? What could it be? Well, the problem of the locked room, right? There are 2 locked rooms in this mystery, the hotel room and the bathroom. The bathroom was locked in such a way that it would be impossible to lock from the outside, and the hotel keycard was in the bathroom with the victim. There's no way the killer could have set up the victim inside the bathroom with a wire noose. Exit, lock him inside, then get out without using the hotel keycard to lock the room? Exactly, Melly. That's what I was thinking. And I was also thinking, maybe we're looking at this mystery all wrong. Everything works if we just change one thing about our solution. Just one thing? What was he talking about? No murderer? Maybe Mr. Archimedes was arrested falsely. Maybe Mr. Decapito killed himself. That's what I was thinking. He could have just locked the hotel door with the key card, went inside the bathroom, locked the bathroom door, and killed himself. But wait, doesn't there need to be someone pulling the razor wire loop closed from the outside of the door? Not necessarily. Here's what I'm thinking. He could have simply looped the wire noose around the door. If he was strong, he could have pulled himself up. Then off with his head. Hey, this might be it. There's no other way to explain the locked doors, right? Let's not get excited, Melly. I know my idea is almost certainly correct, but it's bad detective work to jump to conclusions. Oh, right. Let's think just a bit longer. What doesn't fit with the scenario? There just might be something. Sigh. Why wouldn't he just call it a day? Detectives always try to do more than they need to. Reluctantly, I thought about his scenario. Did thinking of it as suicide instead of a murder really solve all the problems? Well, there was something missing from the crime scene that 778 hadn't accounted for. The wire. Ah, that was it. I mean, I hate to break it to you. Once the guy's head is off, the wire should be lying on the floor. And it's not. And a dead guy can't hide a wire. Well, what if there was an accomplice? No, you're right. Oh man. Well, that means we're back at the other problem. How did Mr. Archimedes magically walk through 2 locked doors? Well, I was about to say, maybe he's hiding in the room, but he would have to be hiding in the bathroom, and there's nowhere to hide in there. Unless he's a tiny elf and can hide in the toilet. We'll put a pin in that one. Melly, simply by whacking myself in the face, I have thought of a brilliant idea. Okay, what? Check the hotel door. I think we missed something. I was reasonably intrigued. Okay, the hotel doorknob. What about it? What if the hotel door wasn't locked with a keycard? But the case file says it was locked. It was locked, but not with the keycard. Look at the type of lock on the doorknob. It's a push-in lock. There are 2 ways to lock the hotel room door. And with a push-in lock, you can lock it while the door is open, pull it shut, and it will be locked from the outside. Whoa! For the first time in a while, I was fully awake. Was this finally the answer we needed? So that solves how the killer got out of the hotel room. And it even explains how the keycard could be inside the bathroom. Yes, Melly. Ho ho ho. The game is afoot, or more accurately, ahead. Yeah. But wait, we haven't figured out how the bathroom was locked from the inside, and time is running out. We're almost there, Melly. Don't give up. Despite his words, things were looking pretty bleak. Though we did tweak the rankings like crazy, there was still some truth to them. And a very poor showing by 778 could get him kicked out of the tops or whatever. If there was any time to cheat, now would be it. Though I'd forgotten the mystery solution like I'd forgotten most of the things in my life. I could remember it all if I just used my method. All I needed was to remember the word I'd come up with that would trigger the memory. Something straightforward, having to do with the mystery. Let me save. I don't know why to do separate saves, but I do. Okay. A combination of a bunch of other words. So, stage 2, round 4, mystery solution. I think this is the one to pick. Probably the best mystery yet. Looks like we have a winner. Filter did a great job imitating it too. It'll really work smoothly when we implement it. Yes. Nice. I'll inform the criminals. Hey Melly, no cheating in the World Cup Championship. I saw you placing that ball by the bin. What? I wasn't. That's enough of that memory. So, Mastermind Filter had a part in the mystery. But what did that mean? How did that help me at all? Hey, Melly. Yeah. I admit it, this is stumping me. Well, don't worry, because I just thought of something. What? Do you think Mastermind Filter was involved in the mystery? It wasn't Toyer, right? The body wasn't used as a weapon. It wasn't shrunk because the head's obviously not preserved in healing liquids, so it's gotta be Filter. You're right, Melly. Which makes the other criminal... It's not Toyer. It's not shrunk. And if it's Filter, then it's Briggs. That was a mistake. Huh? Wait, what? Which suspect used poison gas in elaborate traps? Poison gas. Briggs and Filter. Yeah. That's the only thing that makes sense. So if Filter's responsible, then that might explain the residue on the ceiling, which I don't have. And the only thing you don't have from my room is the bump on the victim's head. Ah! What do trace chemicals and a bump on the head have in common? You tell me, buddy. I'm too tired to think through all the multiple options. They both might knock you out. Well, yeah. So maybe the victim was knocked unconscious. He woke up in the bathroom and locked himself inside before being murdered. Oh, okay. But why did he do that? If the killer was still in the room, obviously he would have to do that to protect himself. Oh yeah. Is that it? That's it, right? Yeah, I think that explains everything. Phew, finally. This sure had been a complex mystery. Was there something we forgot? Oh, right, the bonus question. Why did we bother with that thing? It was such a waste of time. Right. I was thinking about that a little. Remember how the case file said Mr. Archimedes and Mr. Decapito were co-founders? Yeah. Well, the business card says Mr. Decapito is the founder. It doesn't mention Mr. Archimedes at all. Oh, I get it, I think. Mr. Archimedes discovered he was being booted out of the company or something like that. Exactly. I think that's it. Submit. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you like my deductions. Though I will not like your deduction, you are nonetheless correct. Your score is 100%. Your answer to the bonus question was acceptable. Yeah, it better have been. I took off the headset and joined 779 in the hall. Do you know what I've realized? The television in my hotel room doesn't work. They're blocking off the outside world. Well, how long is this competition going to last? It's no big deal. He was right. We didn't want anyone to know what was happening in the world, as it might clue them in on what the point of the competition was. Do you know what this means? The Game Master cares about us after all. He wants to save us from the worst horror known to mankind, television. What's wrong with television? I tune in, sit down, and tune out. It's great. You mean to say what's wrong with having an electronic device take the place of my imagination? Imagination is the secret to detectiving. You have to have an imagination to piece together clues. Huh. I can think of a few extremely unimaginative detectives. Are they any good? Not really. There you go. Well, you really can't think of anything television's good for? At the very least, it's someone to talk to. I guess I deserved that for asking you an honest question. Let's go back to the lobby, okay? It has couches. Time for my mid-afternoon nap. You have a one-track mind, and nobody's jogging on it because they're all taking an infinite break. I rolled my eyes, but nonetheless mildly insulted. When we reached the lobby, it was mostly empty. I could have used a cookie, but they only stocked them on the criminal side for some inane reason. 779 walked over to the reception desk and rang the bell. With a longing at the couches, I forced myself to walk up to the desk too. My assignment was more important than my rest. Soon, I whispered, reaching towards my beloved memory foam couches. Hello, 779. I'm afraid that contest outsiders are banned from entering the hotel. I don't know how she got in here, but she'll have to be escorted out. Crap. I forgot about Haney. As a greeter, she would of course know every detective. She was going to blow my cover wide open. Oh well, what a failure. To my mild surprise, the game master's chime sounded. You rang? This detective is not on the register and needs to be escorted out of the building. That's incorrect. She's in the contest. What? I was not aware of this. Detective, what's your name? Detective Melly. What's going on? I didn't know. Well, I was held in the questioning room. Here's what happened. We discovered Detective Chambers wasn't solving the mysteries. He was using an earpiece for the entirety of stage 1. The person really solving the mysteries was Detective Melly. Cool story, Greg. We'd already tampered a lot in the contest. Why not scapegoat a detective to splice me in? So many ethical violations. Ah well. We brought in Detective Melly for questioning. Since kicking out Detective Chambers would have made the pairs uneven, we decided to simply interrogate Melly into the contest. Integrate her into the contest. That's why Detective Chambers is missing from the ranking this round. Huh? She checked the rankings. True. He's not here. But why wasn't it announced? Some things must be done quietly to maintain calm. Great. Maybe there should be a contingency for when a detective is expelled and the pairs are uneven. That's definitely worth thinking about. Very bold, Greg. The speaker clicked off. So you see? No problem, right? I guess not. So, Haney, what's the next assignment? Don't say that in front of her. She's not inducted. Then induct her. She's my partner, and thus she'll be pretty chained to me. So there's no helping it. Was 779 unwittingly helping me gain access to TADS? This was great. Oops. Oh, whoa. That's how I did that. Well. Haney's eyes shifted back and forth. She was clearly uneasy about me, but seeing as I had 779's endorsement, okay, my name's Haney. I'm the leader of TADS. What are TADS? It's an acronym. We are the Tentative Detective. No, wait. Give me a second here. It'll come to me. I couldn't even remember her own acronym. The Tentative Alliance of Detectives in Secret. Our alliance is made up of the best detectives both in and out of the competition. Our main goal is to meet the game master and ask him some questions. What's the point? I just solve mysteries like a good little detective and mind my own business. Why should we bother the game master with tedious questions? The question I want to ask is far from tedious. It's very, very important. It's a very, very important question. Oh, right. Hey, Haney, we actually got to ask the game master a question. What? Yes, in the questioning room. Slakes asked, "What is your method?" But the game master completely dodged it. Okay. You went and spoke to the game master without notifying me. That's great. Hey, here's a thought. Maybe tell the leader of TADS when something like that occurs. Oh, right. I apologize. Whatever. It's no big deal. I cry internally, so the tears are falling down my levator labis super wrist muscle. Good to know. Hooray. You're inducted. Fireworks and confetti and stuff. I'm sorry to cut your initiation short, but I need to give you guys the assignment before the next round starts, so we can't stand around and tangent all day. 779. Did you get here in time to catch the rankings? He shook his head. Haney looked grim. Or at least grim as her expressionless face could look. Look. She pointed to the screens that listed the rankings. What? July is... Huh? Top-ranked detective this round is... It's... Cess? A certain artificial illness. Sure, 779 apparently outperformed Slakes this round. Red July was in second for the first time in the contest, and Detective Cessa managed to take first place in the rankings. There were 4 reasons that I knew that this could have happened. 1. Red July 779 and Slakes performed worse than Cess. 2. Cess was really good at that particular mystery. 3. The game masters had decided to send him to the top. 4. Cess outperformed everybody through method alone. The first reason was too unlikely to be the case. The second reason wouldn't get him in first, maybe second, but not first. The third reason was impossible because the other game masters would have asked for my input before doing something like that. So that left the fourth reason. Detective 779 glanced at me, and I knew we had come to the same conclusion. Cess is like a detective on steroids. Personally, I believe that detectiving is technically a sport, and there should be a ban. And therefore should ban the use of performance-enhancing drugs. Anyway, it surprises me that he managed to make it to first. His mediocre method shouldn't have gotten him past fourth. What changed, I wonder? More importantly, how could he have gotten past Red July? If Cess was using his ordinary method, he might have been able to get second, but the fact that he got first means something's wrong with Red July. This is your TADS assignment. I want you to visit her room. It's number 232. Find out why she dropped the ball this time. Detective 779 nodded and gestured at me. We'll have Melly remember the number. She's good at memory things. What's the point of bothering to trigger chains when it's not linked to information? I'll just write it on my elbow or something in case you forget. I grabbed my marker and did just that. Haney looked irritated. Not everyone likes seeing my skin get turned into a diary, but I like how it looks. Like sort of temporary text tattoos. In an indiscernible scrawl, that is. My handwriting isn't great. Actually, it's beyond awful. Off you go then. We began to trek to Red's room. The hotel was large, certainly larger than the two-floor bed and breakfasts I usually stayed at. It also smelled like awful scented candles for some reason. One of the mysteries of this competition is how one detective could be better than another. Think about it. Something tells me you've done the thinking for me. So just tell me what you figured out. It's a question of hierarchy. Solving a crime isn't easy. And there's tons of ways to do it. I'll make up an example. Imagine a murder is committed and the criminal immediately leaves the tooth at the scene. And let's say he left it on purpose as a calling card because his name is the dentist killer of Wobbly Road. Every detective here has a different method of deduction, and each one will arrive at that conclusion differently. Roll would feel the tooth and figure out that it was false and was not knocked out from a mouth. Slakes would solve it as Seckles from the dentist killer's point of view. Red July would take in the entire experience of the crime scene. The tooth and every other piece of evidence would immediately connect, etc. Yeah, so the point is, they're all good at their jobs. No. That they are unique. That means they can't be compared. There's no right way to solve a crime. The top detectives should be random, and it's all down to skill, not method. Do you know what? Red July's not exceptionally skilled. Don't do that. Don't dangle a worm in front of me and then just reel it in. Fishing metaphors are beneath us. Like the ocean floor below the tuna. Covered in trash that we don't need to know about. I think I'm getting a headache. Forget my bad fishing metaphor. What do you mean Red's not skilled? You said yourself, it's down to skill. How could she not be skilled if she's top all the time? Red July is experienced and definitely fast, but not skilled. Her deductions lack finesse. During the 5th round of Stage 1, where we saw the videos of the mysteries being solved in order to vote for the rankings, she basically stomped all over the case. She didn't respect it. I don't know what you mean. I kind of did, but Detective Melly didn't. She said the mystery broke the integrity of the contest, but because of most of the context missing. A detective investigating a real crime scene would have immediately been aware that the room could rotate. But I disagree. The contest takes place in a heightened reality. Complaining about the realism is like complaining that the good guy doesn't get shot by the bad guy in a movie. Personally, I enjoyed that mystery. Oh, thanks. I've been the one who suggested the idea for that mystery. Thanks. What for? Whoops. I mean, thanks for explaining why you think Red July is overrated. No problem. Whew, he bought it. After a good 5 more minutes of wandering around the hotel halls, we arrived at Red July's door. 779 scraped the door with his hands like a cat to announce his entrance, then sidestepped as a thin blade shot out of the peephole. What the? I looked to 779 for an explanation. Red July's always been a bit paranoid. Besides, it's Tad's protocol. If I'm ever about to be killed because of protocol, tell me first, okay? Red July had painted the lampshades her favorite color. Spoiler alert, red. My hallucinations have gotten much more vivid. I held my hand over my mouth in case I caught her germ. Stop that, she's not sick. Hallucinations, you say? It's obvious she's been drugged. Why would Cess have been in first place? Of course, there's a possibility she happened to catch the illness that makes most side effects of drugs, and Cess just happened to have a lucky streak. That does seem highly unlikely. It may not be Cess. Try to imagine other possibilities before jumping to conclusions. Somebody may want Cess out of the competition, so they're framing him by drugging you. 779 started running around the room. There's more to that theory. Why would Cess strike now? It doesn't give him an advantage to score first in this early in the contest. That means that this could all really be so that someone else gets to go up a rank. Aha! Maybe they want to climb a higher rank because they don't want to get eliminated because of the cutoff. So the framer could be someone at the bottom of the list. I will look into this. Meanwhile, stay here until it's time for the next round. He circled the room one more time, then ran out the door, knocking over a lamp on his way. I didn't know what to say. It's too quiet. When it's quiet, my thoughts get overwhelming. It has to do with my method. The air is thick with mystery. Ah, that's funny. I have the opposite problem. Hearing too much noise clouds my head. You're very strange, Melly. You don't look surprised to see me, yet this whole competition I have not met you in person. Well, I was helping Detective Chambers cheat. Or something. He's out and I'm in. Yes, but people are usually a little bit more intimidated by me. Well, I'm just very relaxed. I could tell from your almost non-existent reaction to my security measure outside. Oh, you mean the eye-poking skewer you shoved at me? It's just a scare tactic. I wouldn't ever intentionally maim someone. Uh-huh. There was a moment of silence. It's too quiet. There was another long pause. It was starting to get really awkward. Should I have followed 779? Luckily, the announcement jingle played. There are currently 22 detective pairs. In case you don't remember, the last stage we whittled all 50 pairs into just 30. This stage, we've been eliminating the bottom 2 pairs every round. Let's begin it down to 20 with our second detective run voting period. The 5th round of the second stage will start soon. Please make your way to the lobby. Red July coldly locked past me into the hallway. It made me wish I had bubblegum to chew. I chew bubblegum to relieve stress, and the level of stress I was feeling right then called for a bench-sized bubblegum stick. Wait, you're not right in the head right now. I mean, you've probably been drugged. The Game Master is required to halt the stage if there's a serious problem. A detective being drugged so that they'll perform badly is definitely enough cause for them. Red July barely gave me a second look as she continued down the hall. Hello? If I perform well in spite of being drugged, That will be the perfect thing to put on my resume. Oh, okay. That seems normal. I waited a few moments before following her so that I wouldn't have to walk beside her. Probably wasn't a great idea to hang around the talented detective like her. She was probably already suspicious. I arrived at the lobby, late on purpose. The announcement jingle sounded soon after. Detective contestants. It's time once again for you to vote for your favorite detective. Like in Stage 1's 5th round, we will be timing you as usual, but it will not factor into the rankings because this time they will decide by vote. Blah blah blah, you've all heard this before. What's that? The casual tone indicated Greg. Please enter the elevator. It will take you to the site of the second stage's 5th and final round. Alright. I'm excited for stage 3. It's been a long road to this day. A day that I've been waiting for. A day to remember. Woohoo! He held out his hand for a fist bump. I didn't return it. Stop being such a great contrast to my stoic and sleepy nature. Sorry, I'm just so full of youthful energy. What a nuisance. Was he calling me old? I'm only the cuff 29. How many times do I have to say that that before someone believes me? That's such a lie. You're probably 32. How'd you know? Nobody figured out my exact age before. I guessed. My guesses are usually accurate. An accurate guess is an oxymoron. So, a youthful 32-year-old. It was ageism, plain and simple. We boarded the elevator. I was squeezed in with 9 other detectives already, but Asper got in anyway. The elevator started going down. I remember that Greg said something about placing the 5th round in the basement or something. Oh well, they'd gone ahead and planned it without me. I was going to have to solve it in earnest. The elevator passed the basement level. Apparently, the hotel had a sub-basement. The doors opened with their usual ding. We were in a large, whitewashed room with an ugly tiled floor, like you see in bathrooms. The smell of chlorine was permeating my nostrils. In case you're wondering, we've carved out this sub-basement just for the 5th round. As you can see, suddenly our annoying warning buzz sounded. Ugh. I'm sorry, contestants, but there's a bit of trouble. Please return to the elevator. The elevator doors shut and we began moving back up. What's happening? Was this planned? It seems there has been a virus breakout. We've quarantined the area. If you spot any signs of illness, tell us immediately. We'll send someone to you soon. Until then, the round is postponed. The doors opened, and we were back in the lobby. I noticed that the exits had been closed off. A virus. If you ask me, it's the cake's fault. It was dry, not moist, and deceitful. What an incredibly timeless reference. So what? Food poisoning. Hotel's food's one of the... He coughed, interrupting himself. The detectives around him took a step back. He's got the virus! This is so exciting. Shut up, you tourist detective. What do you think this is, hot potato? Oh no. I'm sick. It got me. The zombie outbreak. It's here. Would you calm down? Take a look at your arm. There's a pinprick. 779 stopped his histrionics and looked at his arm. Well spotted, Melly. Somebody must have injected me with something. I do feel a bit lightheaded. I won't make the obvious joke. Thank you. Mostly because I feel a little lightheaded myself. Uh, uh. What the heck? Detectives all around me were gasping for air and leaning on the walls. This was a total disaster. How had this happened? Clark? Kane? Greg? The Watching Room, Part 5. I looked over to Clark, who was drinking his daily cup of coffee. Whenever Melly was in the office, we'd bet on how many coffee stains would wind up on her shirt. Now that she had been sent out to spy on the contest, it had gotten pretty boring. I'd even had to revive the classic musical desk to alleviate the tedium. Finally, something's happening. He put down his mug. Is it something I should care about? Well, look at you, Greg. That's something Melly would say if she was here. You're just like Melly, except way less cool. Why, thank you. Oh, be quiet. It's our duty as game masters to oversee everything with a discerning eye. If our eye wanders, how will we fulfill that duty? I say, stand strong and stand on opponents' necks, and never give up. Oh, great! It's another speech. Another speech. Oof. How'd you rate this one, Clark? About 0 for evoking emotion, 0 for her coherence. Everything else you could file under lackluster. Look, 7 something is making a speech on his own. Something exciting was happening in the lobby. It was just like my favorite reality TV show. Something exciting happened in the hotel lobby. 7 something was attempting to get out a word. No, a name. He coughed once more, holding up his hand and collected himself. It looked for an instant like he was going to say it, but he suddenly collapsed. How dramatic. Detective Ether looks like she's collapsed too, but they may have been just fallen asleep trying to solve the crime. Camera 4. On your right, Red's down. Look at them. They drop like little flies. Ha, I am amused. Ginger's down. An honor. Ha ha. Look at Asper's face. Punch the carpet. I couldn't stand his youthful energy. Now he has no energy. Ha ha. Sorry about that. Let's see. Hmm. Okay. Oh no. Okay. Go ahead. Hmm. Ha ha ha. Okay, let's get serious. What's going on? Well, 779 was gonna explain until he killed over, so now we'll never know. It's obvious. Sess drugged the top-ranked detectives to make them perform poorly. First he tried to drug Red July, but she cheated to stay in first place. Right. But finally it paid off, and he got in first. Well, now what do we do? Kick him out of the contest? Aw man, he's such a warm and friendly guy. More importantly, if anyone finds out how much we screwed up by not catching this sooner, yikes, that'd be bad. I was just imagining what would happen in my mind. Hoo boy. No need to panic, Greg. I've got a bit of an idea up my sleeve. Oh yeah? What's that? Well, it's one of those mysterious ideas that I'm not going to tell you about. Wait. You'll have to watch and learn from more experienced Game Master. Yes, thank you for pointing that out again. Let me just point out that I won musical deaths, so nobody cares. Alright, let's get this announcement out. Then, an announcement? To who? All the detectives are knocked out. Not all the detectives. He pressed the comm button. Sess, are you there? Oh boy, I'm in trouble now. Sess, are you there? Yes, it's just me. Well, isn't this disappointing? All your competitors knocked out cold. That doesn't look good for you. I had no choice. The top three have been locked in the entire contest. That's what made me realize there's no actual way for me to win. Now I know I said I don't care about winning. That I just want to prove my mental capacity off the enhancers. But I'm not using. Everyone else is. That's why they're fast asleep. First I tried drugging Red July, but she still managed to come in first place. So I had to drug Slakes and Esper. And when that didn't work, everyone else. Funny how an enhancer funny how you call it an enhancer when you've clearly been injecting them with drugs that hamper their mental acuity, not increase it. Yes, that's what I've done. Can you blame me? I can. Because you're at fault. You cheated. And ordinarily, we would disqualify you. However, what would become of your partner, Detective Caprice? The pairs would become uneven, and that won't do. What's your big plan for me then? I propose making you a balancer. If someone else is disqualified, you'll be disqualified too. That way the pairs remain even. It's not much of a deal, but on the other hand, as long as nobody else screws up, you'll be able to stay in the contest. Wait, but what if I do terribly in the contest? Then we would just eliminate you and your partner just like any other detective. All this does is buy you some time. Either accept my offer or be eliminated right away. Wait. You want me to volunteer for elimination in case another detective is disqualified? But technically, I'm disqualified, and if you eliminate me, there's no way to even out the pairs. I guess I'm the one who has you over a barrel, huh? Either make the contest more fair, or I won't help you even out the pairs. You don't have anything over me, though. You only think you do. It so happens I already have an agent in the contest. I could pull them out when I eliminate you. It'd be a shame, but it would be possible. So, no, I don't have to do with you, say. You're admitting the contest isn't fair? I never said it wasn't fair, only that I wouldn't make it fair according to whatever your idea of fair is. And yes, there is a distinction. Don't you think the fact that you couldn't stop me from doing this speaks to your ability to protect the detectives? As we know, there are dangerous criminals just around the corner. But you couldn't stop me, a mostly harmless detective, from drugging every other detective in the contest. Would be ashamed if if the detectives knew about this. I'm bored with your lame attempts to blackmail me, mate. I have enough power in the contest to outmaneuver any accusation you throw at me. And yes, maybe the contest isn't fair. Maybe I don't protect the detectives well enough. But this is my contest, and they signed a special contract. In the event of an uprising, I can threaten to end the contest without a winner, or declare a criminal winner by default, though I hope it wouldn't come to that. So, either accept my offer or be eliminated. You have me, backed into a corner. I will do what you say, if it means I get to stay in the contest a little longer. Excellent. I knew you'd see it my way. So, how do we wake these guys up? Should be any minute now. But rubbing smelling salts will help. Good. I have a plan to explain everything. Just sit tight. My head hurt. Whoa, what happened to us? I was just about to explain everything. You see, clearly the person responsible for this is Detective Sess. There would be no reason for the game master to knock us out, or even a criminal to do so. Therefore, it must be a detective, and the only detective whose method would involve injecting us with some kind of drug to put us to sleep, is Sess. So Sess, why? You solved the mystery. Well done. That's right. This is another pre-round mini-mystery. Our 5th round was still being set up, and this bought us some time. Please make your way to the elevator now. Makes sense to me. Then why was Reguli experiencing an issue well before the round started? Beats me, but it had nothing to do with Detective Sess, I assure you. Now let's get the round underway. Smooth move, Greg. He'd managed to sidestep pretty effectively. Maybe it was time to forgive him for shoving me during the Paperclip War 3. I'm disappointed. I wasted my 780th case on an absurd pre-round mini-mystery. Us top-ranked detectives really should have let something lower-ranked detective solve these things. Aren't you one of the ones who decides a mystery counts as something to add to your name or not? A mystery is a mystery, even if it is a terrible one. Yeah, I guess. We boarded the elevator again. Kind of a weird mystery, but it was pretty fun being knocked out. Not really. It makes me wonder, if he's willing to inject us with drugs for a stupid mystery, what else will the game master stoop to? Good question. The answer was, whatever was necessary. Locking door? Me and 780 were struck in a long, boring line of detectives, all waiting for the game master's next announcement. Ugh, mouth is getting dry. Water break. I decided after waiting an unbearable 2 more minutes that it was much more fun to watch the line from a television than to be standing in it. What was it about TV that made everything interesting? Too bad it was banned. Thankfully, the Game Master jingle sounded shortly after. I guess Greg had been caught up in an office game of some kind and forgot that he still had an announcement to make. The announcement started, and Greg started talking. He sounded slightly nervous, from what I could tell through the voice filter. Ahem! Now begins the final round of Stage 2. I'm happy to announce that the third stage will be more of what you love. 5 new locked room mysteries. Groans issued from the ensemble. Just kidding. Actually, this is the last locked room mystery of the competition. I promise. Sighs of relief replace the aforementioned groans. So, the television screens flickered and displayed a pool. Thanks for following! This is a mystery I created just for the 5th round. It's called Pooled Resources. Slates cringed at the pun. The detective pairs will go in one at a time as before. We've built 2 separate crime scenes for the MO swap, and like the past 4 mysteries of this round, you'll be figuring out who imitated the crime and who created it. At the end, like before, you'll be voting for the best detective pair. But because it's the 2nd round, you are all a little more experienced. We're introducing you to a new concept of minus points. Minus points? I must have been asleep for that memo. It was interesting to hear all this from the point of view of a detective, but I was suddenly feeling homesick for my chair in the office. Had it only been 10 minutes since I'd gotten a chance to rest. I struggled to listen to Greg's monotonous voice. During the voting process, you can now downvote competitors you don't like as well as voting for ones you do. Think of it as a dislike button, whereas before you only had a like button. If a detective pair comes in last thanks to the minus points, we will eliminate them. I feel I could feel the mood of the room getting darker. A tall, bald man on my right raised her hand. Raise her hand. Did I read that? A tall, bald detective on my right raised her hand. I can't see when people raise their hands. Then how do you know? Never mind. My question is, what if we all make a pact to spend our minus points on the top ranked detectives? Detectives ranked lower could be artificially promoted even if they're disliked. You know, like Detective Eastman. Hey yo, someone say my name? The 5th rounds don't come often for that to pose any significant harm. So then what's the point? Using minus points, you could try to control who gets eliminated, whereas without using them, it's just down to who clocks in last and wasn't upvoted. Does that make sense, or do I have to break it down even more? No, that pretty much covers it. She looked down at the floor, embarrassed to have drawn so much attention to herself. I glanced at my wrist, where I had written a few visual-based triggers for detectives' names. Her name flashed into my mind in an instant. Detective Everreeve, the Third Eye Detective. According to the data I'd memorized, she shaved her head so that her hair wouldn't block her psychic powers. I wasn't sure if they were real or not, but her ranking wasn't great, so they probably weren't. Detectives Arc Inquire. You're up first. The door at the end of the room clicked open, and the slouched Arc and the thin Quire walked through. Who are these random people, and why do they always get to go first? Why we invited him was a mystery that even Red July probably couldn't solve. Minus points seemed to be invented just for him. You answered your own question. They're randomly selected. Are you ready for a boring wait? Actually, I like the wait. It lets me consult my fellow detectives. Since when do you care about what other people think? It's all about being the big comedian with you. Better than a dark detective with a tragic past. What are you talking about? I've had a really easy life. They continued arguing for 5 more minutes, and then, to my relief, me and 780 were called to go second. At least I don't stoop to sarcasm for humor. It's the lowest form of comedy. Well, it's good you try so hard not to make terrible jokes. The effort really shows. Yeah, you're both really hilarious. Can we go solve the mystery now? We will table this discussion for later, Slakes. Actually, let's not. I opened door 1, and 780 went in door 2. I was next to an indoor swimming pool. Oh, yeah. There was the usual headset resting on the hook in the wall. I put it on. Here's the case file, as usual. Okay, so red, blue. Blue means poison. Mr. Shallow, Mrs. Chlorine, Mrs. Waters, Mr. Swims. How did he get burnt? Electrocuted. Mrs. Chlorine, poisoned by chlorine. Mrs. Water, drowned in the water. Mr. Shallow, shallow pool. Mr. Swims, electrocuted. I think, maybe. I don't know. Whatever. 4 bodies were discovered in the Hotel Quail's pool. Yeah, it's not full. It's an empty pool. 4 bodies were discovered in Hotel Quail's pool at 3 p.m. Nobody was arrested for the crime. The pool was locked from the inside when the crime was discovered. You do not have access to the autopsy report. What made things easier for the killer? Okay. And of course, the suspect's file. Drinder always twists her victims into strange shapes after killing them. Carver is a chemist who kills his victims with various forms of acid. Bones kills her victims by breaking their bones. Seebeck uses electricity to kill her victims. One of them was poison. Acid burns, but electricity can burn too. Oh, how I'll miss the suspect's file. I'm tearing up a little just thinking about it. Goodbye, old friend. Clark was finding interesting ways to keep himself entertained. I walked to the edge of the pool and down an inclining slope that led to the shallow end. There was a drop-off into the deep end, which I climbed into. I hadn't really been involved in this mystery. This time I couldn't use my ability to cheat. I would have to actually solve it. Shudder. Wait, she's blue and outside of the pool. And there's 3 bodies in the pool. This... There's slippery ice on the shallow end of my pool. Most of it has melted away. Your side sounds very exciting, Melly. There's nothing like that over here. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay, there's a red and black dummy covered by a heavy blue cloth. Let me just move this to the side. Okay. The case file says his name is Mr. Swims. I don't have a Mr. Swims. What does the red and black dummy mean? Maybe he was burnt in a fire? No. There's a plain white dummy covered with a blue cloth. I'll move it over. The case file says his name is Mr. Shallow. I don't have him over here on my side. Okay, weird. He's completely plain? Wait. I turned him over and it looks like he has cracked his skull. And a cracked spine. That is at least anatomically correct spine. The least anatomically correct spine I have ever seen. I wish I had him on my side so I could see it for myself. So he doesn't have anything on his side. Mrs. Waters. Where does she have the bellhop? She's a plain white dummy with broken legs. And looking a bit closer, her skull's broken too. I don't have her on my side. My side is really boring. Sounds like it. So there's someone near the entrance of the pool. She's blue. Case file says her name is Miss Chlorine. Is my case file completely different than yours? I don't have a Miss Chlorine or anyone blue. Seems like you have your own there. You're on your own there. Poison. Blue means poison, right? Yes. Okay. So there's a deck chair with a glass of water nearby. That's not over here. Wait. This stuff isn't water. It's the smell. I know I smelt it before. Any chance you trigger change it? Yeah, almost certainly. I made sure to catalog smells of all sorts of chemical substances. It was time once again to use my ability, but this time I wasn't cheating. I needed to remember what the smell of certain chemical substance was. Which required me to think to a time when I spent with Dr. Kipps. Dr. Kipps. Okay, what's this one? It's a good one to remember. Hydrogen fluoride. But put it in water and it becomes hydrofluoric acid. Highly corrosive. I'm letting you smell the liquid form. As a gas, it is also very dangerous. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. What other poisons and stuff do you have? Just wait here. Just wait till you hear about cyanide. Oh. Everyone knows about cyanide. Did you know that almonds have cyanide in them? Yes, I did. Everyone knows that. Good old Dr. Kipps. Now she's dead, but my memories of her still live on. Oh, I got it right. Cool. Oh, okay. There's chemical residue on the ceiling. None over here. Is it sort of a rule in this contest that if someone gets poisoned, there's like stuff on the ceiling? As long as the poison's in the form of a gas, that would appear to be entirely accurate. There's some strange device on the edge of the pool. Is it a vacuum cleaner? No, it's not. It's a heat pump. It's essential for warming up big pools like this. How warm can the pool get? Depends on... Was he boiled? Depends on how long you run it. On my side, the heat pump is broken, and there's clearly exposed wires leading into the water. Water? My side's completely dry. Interesting. Didn't seem like there was anything else to investigate. Time to figure all this stuff out. Okay, I think that's it. This seems complicated. Well, my side isn't. It's like we got two entirely different mysteries. I've pretty much solved mine. It was so simple. Well, that's disappointing to hear. I'd have to tell Greg, Clark, and Kane to do better. What have you come up with? Well, on my end, there are 4 victims floating in the pool. Mr. Charge, Mrs. Zapp, Mrs. Shock, and Mr. Jolt. It's pretty obvious that they were all electrocuted with the broken heat pump. Since there wasn't any arrest, I can assume that the killer is one of them. That sounds incredibly lame. What a straightforward mystery. Well, if they're ranking criminal imitations on how fast they can imitate a crime, then yeah, sometimes they're probably going to wind up with a crappy mystery. That's one of the reasons that speed as a metric for ranking detectives and criminals makes no sense. He was completely right. Does this mean I'm basically on my own over here? I'll do what I can from over here. Okay. The most interesting thing I discovered was a glass filled with hydrogen fluoride. It is, obviously, one of the murder weapons. However, there is an obvious weapon, and it's invisible. Is it an invisible weapon then? It most certainly is. Gravity. It's an invisible force that can kill you. True. Who do you think was killed by gravity? Good question. Miss Swims, Red and Black, no. Mrs. Water and Mr. Shallow, yeah. Mrs. Waters and Mr. Shallow. They both have broken bones, and yet they're both in the pool. Maybe the pool was drained. Mr. Shallow is near the pool Mr. Shallow is near the shallow end of the pool. The shallow end is also where the ice is. Ooh. I think I see what you're trying to say, Millie. Yeah, Mr. Shallow slipped and cracked his head and spine on the ice, killing him. Makes sense. If the pool was filled with water, the ice would be really hard to see. Good point. You mentioned he was covered in a blue blanket. I think that may relate to what you're saying. What I was saying about something being hard to see? What did he mean? Blue blankets are to conceal the bodies while they're underwater. So Mr. Swims, I still haven't figured out what his deal was. I have an idea about that. You said the substance in the glass is actually hydrogen fluoride, not water, right? Did you know that when you combine hydrogen fluoride with water, it creates acid? A type of acid, if I recall. Hydrofluoric acid. It's very corrosive. Yes, so you see what I'm getting at? Mr. Swims was killed by putting hydrogen fluoride in the pool. Exactly. That's 3 down, 1 to go. Mrs. Chlorine. She was poisoned. Probably with the gas. Wait a minute. I think I know what this mystery's all about. Really? Yes. Slipping on the ice, burning... Oh. Solid liquid gas. Slipping on the ice, burning up in water, poisoned by a gas. The main premise of this mystery seems to be states. These are all different states. Solid, liquid, gas. I think this mystery uses hydrogen fluoride as a weapon to kill almost every victim, which means the true nature of the ice is that it's really frozen hydrogen fluoride. But there's one victim that hydrogen fluoride didn't kill. Mr. Shallow. Mr. Shallow. He was killed by gravity. Yeah, but he was slipping on the ice. So, right. I mean to say is Mrs. Waters. The one with the broken legs and skull. Oh, dang it. I think... Mrs. Waters. The one with the broken legs and skull. I think that like on your side, one of the victims is really a killer. And Mrs. Water fits the bill. She wasn't poisoned by the gas, isn't near the shallow end of the pool, and isn't red and black. She's by the diving board, which means she jumped off and killed herself with sheer gravity. She doesn't have a blue blanket, which means she's likely was the last to die. Further proof that she was the one who killed the others. Makes sense to me. Now all you have to do is explain how Mrs. Waters transports hydrogen fluoride from ice to liquid to gas. Simple enough. The heat pump. The hydrogen fluoride was frozen onto the shallow end of the pool while it was drained. The pool was filled with water. Mr. Shallow entered and slipped, killing himself through an accident. It's a little coincidental for my taste, but it works. He was covered up with a blue blanket to conceal the body. Using the heat pump, Mrs. Water melted the hydrogen fluoride into the pool. That's when Mr. swam in it, which obviously killed him. Another blue blanket concealed his body. The heat pump continued to heat the water until it began to evaporate into gas, which killed Mrs. Chlorine. Mrs. Water, the killer, locked in a room, drained the pool completely, and jumped off of the diving board, killing herself. I think that explains everything. I do too. So, who created this mystery? Oh right, I almost forgot about that. Remember everyone on my side was simply electrocuted? I had basically had no fun with this mystery. Just letting you know. Yeah, noted. Okay. Acid and electricity. Carver and Civic. Exactly, Melly. Exactly. Almost thought it was Bones for a second there. No, you didn't. Just making conversation. Is there anything else? The bonus question. I didn't get a bonus question. I didn't get anything interesting at all. Oh, too bad for you. Okay. The question is, what made things easier for the killer? Okay. And the killer is Mrs. Waters. Well, the only other thing that stands out is that hat she's wearing. A little hat? I don't think you mentioned that before. Yeah, it's a greenish and gold hat. Like the one Haney wears? Haney? Oh, she did wear a hat like that. Well, if the killer worked for the hotel, that would make things easier. I think we've got it, Melly. Now we could submit your deduction. Oh, that's what it was. If it isn't the Twitch Queen. Hi, Firstborn. You getting ready to start? Great. Submit. What? Oops. I clicked too low. You are correct. Your score on this mystery is 100%. Yes. Soon, yes, my dear. How goes your gaming? It's pretty chill. Just playing this game I got last year that I haven't finished. So the same game maker made another game, so I want to play this game, actually finish it, and try the demo. Your answer to the bonus question was acceptable. Thanks, Game Master. You're welcome, Detective. Great. Now let's get out of here. The pool smells terrible. Worse than clown makeup. Yeah. We walked back into the room next to the pool. It was pretty quiet now. Slakes was busy reading a romance novel. Mouse was concentrating on twiddling his thumbs. Hackett was asleep. Hackett's still in this? Hackett was asleep with his fedora over his eyes. Roll was whispering something to the ether. Nell was sitting on the floor with her chin resting on her hands, bored but awake. Red July was leaning on the wall, and Honor was leaning on the wall in the exact same way. The sight, like most things, made me want to go to sleep. We're in trouble. Why? The minus points. They're going to be bad for the top detectives. Huh? Why? Remember what Detective Ever Reeves said earlier? The longer we stay at the top, the more agitated the detectives at the bottom have become. Obviously, if the top detectives are eliminated, then someone else will have a shot. If the bottom 17 team up against the top 3 pairs, that's enough to eliminate 4 of us. During this voting period, there's going to be an invisible war between the detectives. There's not a single detective in this room that won't be voting against either Red July, Slakes, or me. And then they'll turn it around and vote positive points for whichever top detective they like the most. In the end, it'll be a test to which top detective is most liked here, and which one is liked the least. If that's the case, we're not in any trouble at all. Slakes is easily the most disliked of the top 3. His attitude really gets on people's nerves. Actually, that's not true. The most disliked of the top 3 detectives isn't Slakes. It's me. It's his antics. fault. He's not popular. Excuse me? Who doesn't like clowns? I'm not a clown. What? But isn't that your whole thing? I'm the end result of an of an evolved family line of clowns. I'm one of the clowniest detectives, Gene Poole. What I mean is, who doesn't like you? Everyone. You're just deciding that. What about the fifth round vote? Didn't you come in third like always? I wasn't talking about now. I was talking about the future. You see, during the course of this competition, I predict that everyone here will eventually hate me. Okay, past arguments with 781 had tended to go in circles, so I just gave up. It's due to my eccentricities. For some reason, dancing and Oreo metaphors are a hate magnet. Let's pretend you're right. How will we keep people from awarding you minus points? Easy. We use our golden tongues, but golden tongues are never effective without the gold. He reached a hand into his sleeve and brought out a bunch of cash. This is from selling us out back in the questioning room. I was wondering what happened to that. Wait, you're going to bribe them? It's the best way to make fast friends. Well, the best way for your money to make friends. But it's quick and it's effective. Here. He handed me a portion of the cash. No. Why not? I'm not going to walk around the room slipping people money and whispering vote for 781. I'd feel like some kind of villain. A little morally gray, but a villain nonetheless. Why would you do that? Because you just said, no. That's stupid. They just take the money and give me a minus point. You show them the money and say it's yours if 781 makes it past this round. That way, they may even go so far as to recruit more people to ensure that I win. Maybe people that would have had trouble convincing. Oh, well that's fine then. Bribery. I'm excited. Good. I'm glad you're excited. Now go bribe some detectives. Helping me out helps you out too, Melly. You did have a point. I looked around the room for some detective pairs who looked like they could easily be bribed. Not Honor. Not Nell. I'm guessing it's this guy. Detective White and Porter. It's Detective Melly, right? Yeah. Heard a lot about you, Melly. My winning bet is that you're going to do very well in this contest. Do you believe in yourself much, Melly? Well, let's put money on it. I think by the 4th round, you will be in 4th place. How about we put 50K on that one? No. You're so underconfident, Melly. You lack self-esteem. There's nothing there. Okay. I'm telling you that I think you're so capable that I'm willing to put 50K on your success. Yet you completely turned me down. What is going on? Look. Here's a different kind of bet. I'm interested. This wad of cash is yours. If 781 gets 3rd place or higher in this round's ranking. I don't want your paltry offering. No, I'll take it. I want your paltry offering. Good. What if he doesn't place 3rd or higher? Nothing. You don't owe me anything. A little too good to be true. I was planning to vote against that guy. But suit yourself, Porter. Is that so? I like 781. He understands how incredibly dull this profession is and just goofs off. Of course, it is only because he's not financially tied to hard labor of detective work that he feels he's able to do so. Why don't you find another job? It's a good job. I just don't like it. Do you know what I mean? Sure. Whatever would make him laugh and go along with 781's harebrained scheme. 781 was tapping his foot and exercising his eyebrow when I returned. I convinced about 7 pairs. So, we can expect at least 2 more to vote for me. Same for me. Sort of. By the way, do I get a cut of this? Shh. The show is starting. He pointed out to the screen in the upper right corner where the videos of detectives solving the mysteries started to play. Thankfully, our video was short, though I suspected that if we got up voted, it wouldn't be for the length of our segment, but all the carrots we dangled for the mules. Here, enter your vote. This thing came out of what seemed to be a garbage chute in the back. He was holding a remote of some kind with 2 buttons, one for plus and one minus, and the rotating dial displayed various detective pairs. I decided to give a minus to point to Red July. It probably would help out 781. Of course, this entire exercise was pointless as the votes weren't really counted. But then again, we hadn't discussed minus points at all, so I didn't know what the others had, if the others had something new up their sleeve. Just to be edgy and counterculture, I decided to vote for Detective Eastman. It was the first time a game master had ever voted in the final round rankings, as far as I knew. 781 grabbed the remote from me and entered his own votes. I peeked and saw that he voted for Nell, which was a little sad. The game masters could see which detective had the remote through the multiple cameras in order to identify who was voting for or against who. 781 passed the remote to Detective Esper, who had just come from out of the crime scene. This one was tough, but I managed it. With the help of my trusty assistant Slicks. Go swim in a poison pool, Esper. Just a friendly joke. The remote steadily made its way around the room, finally coming full circle when Detective Swinger finished voting. Oh, look! The rankings are going to be announced. I'm the clear favorite. I don't see you, Eastman. What? What? Detectives. The rankings are in. Top 3 detectives are... What? Red July and Honor, Slakes and Asper, 781 and Melly. There were audible groans. Isn't it time for a shakeup? Those 6 detectives have been there for the start. Yeah. Be quiet, Eastman. You've been eliminated. I cannot help what the results show. I am simply showing you who the top 3 are. You have nobody to be mad at but yourselves for not doing better in the contest. Nothing but lies. This was so amusing. 781 breathed a sigh of relief. And then he did a dance. I keep on clicking the one button. See? You were completely wrong about people hating you. No, I wasn't wrong. I never believed that for a second. Huh? You see, Melly, you must always be prepared for a terrible outcome, so I mentally prepared myself for failure. Good idea. I strongly suspected that 781 actually was, in fact, unpopular if what I'd seen in the 5th round ranking was true. We couldn't let 781 go. He was entertainment. Guess it's the end for Detective Eastman, and that detective named Bobo. Oh right, there was a detective named Bobo. Would have been nice to meet him at some point. Yeah. Don't be so quick to forget me. The legend will live on. Detective Eastman, you have been eliminated. I know that. It was a hero's sacrifice. No. You shall all remember this day because... He launched into an incredibly strange diatribe that does not bear repeating, but it was certainly memorable to those who listened to it. I did not trigger in that moment. Goodbye, Detective Eastman. I like that guy. Yeah, me too. So we're cool right now, being all counterculture and stuff, which reminds me of a splendid joke. I hope it's as splendid as you say. A duck walks into a bar, and then he pays for his drink and he says, "Put it on my bill?" Yeah, I've heard that before. 781 paused to shoot me an irritated glance. He kept glaring at me until I reluctantly waved for him to continue. The duck glances around and notices that two men in hunting gear are shooting craps. So the duck takes the gun out and fires at the dice. The bartender says, "Oh my God, what is wrong with you?" The duck says, "See, I can shoot craps with the best of them." Is that it? Needless to say, the duck gets thrown out of the bar. Later that day, in the evening newspaper, a misspelled headline reads, "A duck shoots crap with hunters." Ha ha ha. Ha ha. I'd honestly never heard a less funny joke. Less funny quote-unquote joke in my life. The moral of the joke is that to get the result you want, sometimes you need to do something incredibly convoluted that nobody else understands. I don't understand how the moral applies to the joke, and I don't see how it applies to what we were just talking about. And lastly, I don't think that joke was much of a joke. Guess you don't keep your funny coin sharpened, because you have a dull sense of humor. Thankfully, our announcement chimed because I didn't have a witty response. Please make your way to the elevators, detectives. We soon found ourselves in the lobby. Wait here. I'll grab my stuff from the room. He ran on all fours. I tried to shrug it off to those nearby. He returned with 2 luggage bags soon after, and we waited until the crowd had thinned a bit. My guess was that some people hadn't thought to pack anything before leaving the hotel, and so had been living off of what had been provided. Detectives, outside there is a line of taxis we have provided to take you to the location of the 3rd stage. However, I am not going to tell you where to go. You will have to figure that out yourself. The answer describes you perfectly. I await your arrival. The speaker clicked off, and the crowd of detectives headed for the doors. What? Where are we going? I feigned my ignorance. I had been waiting for this moment the whole competition. Ugh, I keep on clicking weird buttons. I slammed my shoulder against the heavy lobby doors. They swung open reluctantly. A full blast of cold air hit me in the face. This is why I don't go outside. So you remember how Haney checked the note summoning us to the contest with a flashlight for some reason? No, I wasn't there. Oh, right. Well, I assumed that was to authenticate them. But the clue about something that describes you perfectly has me thinking. Oh, the name tags. Good, he got it. Detectives 781 took his name tag off and held it up to the sun. Dance Master. Ernest Nation Artist. Hello. It was inside Inside it was a phrase, Ernest Nation Artist. Simple. This is just an anagram. Nation Artist. Ernest Nation Artist. Ernest Nation Artist. I held mine up too. Eastern Instant Ratio. Like I said before, I was good with anagrams. So when I was coming up with that, the clue would be hidden inside name hashtags. Nearest train station. Ernest Nation Artists. Nearest train station. Eastern Instant Ratio. Right. Okay. He ripped up our tags and threw them in the air. Hey! Hey. I liked my name tag a lot. We don't need them anymore, Nelly. They serve their true purpose, a clue to stage 3. He jumped into the taxi. I had no choice but to follow him inside quickly. My hours of work lay sadly on the pavement. Take us to the nearest train station. Okay. First class. Okay. The taxis left the parking lot in a uniform line. Seemed like none of the detectives had issue figuring out our clue. That was dramatic. 781 didn't comment. He stared at the taxi window. You could have just told me the solution, instead of ripping the tags. That could have been useful. Maybe. What I was actually annoyed about was the fact that I made those hashtags by hand, carefully writing all 100 of them in printed letters, which was incredibly difficult for a person with questionable penmanship. Every detective is made up of 4 things: 10% curiosity, 10% intellect, 10% intuition, and 70% ham. I can't resist the showmanship of a deduction. I don't know. I've seen some reverse detectives, like Nell, Mouse. And so you highlight a fundamental problem with this competition. The sheer number of detectives. He was changing the subject again. Nobody knows every detective's name. I bet you can't even remember Detective Rate 13th, can you? Actually, rhetorical question. Silence filled the air. The taxi TV started playing a clip show over and over again. The weather forecast predicted rainy days ahead. Okay. Stereos. The detectives ranked 13th are Rito and Day. I know. It's written on your wrist. You figured out my abbreviation code? It's not that hard. STG 2 R&D 513 RIDAY. Stage 2, round 5, 13. Right. Wait a minute. I thought you couldn't read. He didn't respond. We got out of the cab and walked up the steps to the train station, where the third stage awaited us. Inside the station was a ticket booth where Haney was stationed. When you're all here, the game master will begin the announcement. She was ripping random tickets and throwing them in the air to pass the time. I looked around. The other top 5 ranked detectives were all with us in the station. Detective White was trying to avoid stepping on the floor by tying handkerchiefs on his feet. A very long train of rails stretched out into the mountains beyond. There were 8 sleeper cars hooked up to the trains, as well as 4 dining cars and 4 lounge cars. The other detectives arrived soon, and Game Master Kane began her announcement. It appears like all of the pairs were able to solve the clue and find their way to the station. Here we go. 1 second. It appears like all the pairs were able to solve the clue and find their way to the station. So, I will begin. As you may have guessed, this stage will use the train as the mode of transportation between rounds. The competition's going to get a bit of a tour. The detectives readied themselves. For Detective Mouse, this meant polishing his glasses 15 times and pacing in a circle until he got dizzy. I wondered to myself whether he'd get sick on the train. This train has 4 sections: first class, second class, third class, and fourth class. Each class has 2 sleeper cars, a dining car, and a lounge car. The top 5 pairs are in the first class. The next 5 are in the second class, etc. We'll be on the rails for most of the stage, going all over America, and the trip will be long. If any of you get motion sickness, you can brave through it or wimp out on us. Wow, too bad for motion sick people. Lastly, please be aware that smoking is not allowed on the train. Now, you are free to board. The doors of the train open. Detectives push past me toward the train, eager to get aboard. If you're confused about which class you're in, look the ranking on the chart at the ticket booth. Dividing people into various classes inside a train. Haven't heard of that one before. Neither have I. But I'm sure it won't produce any kind of tension whatsoever. You mean class tension, Melly? Yeah, like that. True. I don't think it will. Though we had some extra rules in store for later, that would help give slower detectives an edge. The helpful intention was dampened somewhat by the fact that the rules only existed to ease my conscience. While I was staring into space pondering this, 781 had already gotten on board. He held his hand up to me in a strange gesture. What's that? I made it up. It's a hand sign that means I'm ready. Hate to break this to you, but a universally accepted OK sign means the exact same thing. Yes, but it means OK. My hand sign means whatever. Who am I to argue? Do what you want. Some points aren't worth pressing, and besides, I didn't want him to be in a bad mood when I stepped on board the train for the first time. As soon as I stepped into the red carpet corridor, I knew I was going to have a blast. It called to mind every book I read about travel. I was excited to see what my room looked like. If the euphoric pine wood smell overpowers you, just remember that murder exists in every corner of the world. But don't let it get you down. Thanks for the great advice. Was that supposed to be comforting? I remembered how much Nell got annoyed with him. Maybe she'd been right all along. 781 slipped into his room, by which I mean he pretended to slip and fall into it. How amusing. I entered my own room. It was pretty small. The bed had a plaque attached to it with the words Mele Molokai on it. The budget was getting bigger this stage. Upon entering your room, you may notice you were given a present. The present represents the aspect of your method as well as being extraordinarily useful. I picked up the present. It was a marker. As I thought, clicking the cap 3 times activated a mini radio and receiver. The other game masters had devised it as a way to communicate with them. Melly, can I borrow your present? Why, did you not get one? I'll return it soon. Well, I didn't want him finding out about the present spying capacities. Just 2 seconds. Fine, alright. I quickly deactivated the radio function and handed the marker to him. Sounds frantic scribbling came from his room. He reappeared at my doorway. Here. He handed me my marker back. What did you do? I solved a problem. A problem that the game masters have. What problem? Other than the spying and picking favorites and contradictory rules and how a criminal could possibly win the contest, I couldn't think of any problems. They can't spell 781. I stood in silence for a moment as the statement slowly sunk in before I realized what it meant. Do you mean the name plaque in your room had my real name on it and not my pseudonym? Yes. The game master knows my real name. So the third stage is here. I carefully flicked the ball of paper into the trash. Perfect 10 for 10 shot. Yes. The third stage. Which reminds me, the train's been boarded and cruising along, and nobody even knows where they're going or what theme the stage is. She pressed the intercom button. Clark shot me a look and lowered the paper ball that I'd been about to throw. Even the smallest sound could distract Kane when she was making an announcement. It's time to announce the theme of this stage. This stage is called Red Herring Mysteries. In each mystery, there will be at least one misleading clue. In order to submit the correct deduction, you will need to explain what makes the false clue trails false and the true clue trails true. I spot a tongue twister in the making. There's one other important change in this with this stage. We won't be eliminating anyone. That's right. No matter how badly you do on the mystery, you won't be eliminated. We are putting a temporary end to the automatic partner swapping. We want you to take this time to get to know the other detectives in your class. It will make your eventual elimination all the more dramatic. We'll arrive within 6 hours. That is all. She switched off the intercom. Honestly, I don't expect anyone to get along. You'd be surprised. Good teams form fast. Before, nobody cared about eliminations. Now they all kind of know each other. It's also where we start to see who'll be making it to the final rounds. Second and third class usually made up of boring detectives. It's two extremes in the fourth and first that are It's the two extremes of the fourth and first that are interesting. Some detectives don't deserve to be in fourth. Some don't deserve to be in first. Once the stage starts and the ranking goes back to being time-based, we'll put everything in order. Whew. Did you see that ranking the detectives shoved in our faces last round with their stupid votes? I don't think I even know who Tronin and Mackle are. They sound pretty disposable to me, just based on their names. Let's start the criminal train now. Oh right, there was a special train for the criminals. It was originally a circus train. We made it a little more appropriate for the humans, but the smell of the elephants sustained. And speaking of getting things in motion, it's time we left this basement. Greg, did you throw out those paper airplanes and paperclip slingshots and tape targets and matchbox cars made out of matchboxes and paper hand-woven baskets and origami swan and mice? What? No, I put those in the luggage. I thought so. Your entire suitcase is going in a dumpster. That's my stuff. You can't do that. Every extra second I spend staring at your trash lessens my lifespan by 4%. Are you sure it doesn't also shorten your temper? She shot me an angry look. So I was right. Do we still need this betting chart? It's useless now. Okay, first is Red July. I can't make out the second one. Ether. Woes. Wait. Clark. Oh, are these round flakes on her? Red July flake. What is it? Flake instead of flakes. Oh, there is a flake. Huh. Took a chart and glanced at it. Huh? It was a chart from the first round of stage 1. It had been tough to pick favorites based off of just one mystery. As I expected, Red July had been the #1 pick, but she was the only famous detective in the competition, so who else would have voted for her? But one of the pairs we'd chosen didn't make any sense at all, at least from what I could remember about their performance in the competition. Come on, Greg. We were all packed and ready to leave. I helped drag the suitcase from the hidden passage that led to the basement. The hotel was very quiet now that everyone was gone. Since the second stage of the contest was over, the fifth could sell the hotel back to the original owner. Yeah, it's true. Fourth class looks like an interesting lineup. The bottom tier detectives have been noticeably more like a team than the other detectives. Speaking of fourth class, never mind. In the early stages, predictions were often wild and inaccurate, since the game masters couldn't get a good sense of the detective's skills fast enough. But still, it didn't seem to make sense. One of the favorite detective pairs had to be Ashdown and Woes. Who had voted for them? It had to be the majority. Once we got settled into our van, I needed to look up the footage of that first mystery. We assembled outside, determining that nobody was snooping about. Unfortunately, the fifth had joined us. We would be sharing the van. That jumbled evening. Ugh. Clark began moving our luggage inside. Little did he know, I'd stuck my favorite game, Guess the Question, into the suitcase. The others abhorred it. And had tried to ban me from playing. You drive, Kane. Me and Greg will set up the equipment as we go. Very well. Hurry up, guys. The train's not getting any slower. Clark, do you remember there being anything special about Ashdown and Rose? Clark frowned as Converse snuck past him and tried to crawl inside the suitcase. Not really. Other than that, they used to be detective partners, like in real world and not in the contest. So we placed them together to see what would happen, and they had good chemistry. But they did really badly mystery-wise. We forgot about it and paired them with other people. Why? Nothing. The van started up. It was time to catch up to the train. Chapter 31. Inspecting Detectives. Do you think this is take? You know what? They have just made it to the train, so I'm gonna go ahead and save here. I don't know why I have these in weird order now. I should probably make that the last save. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop here. I want to thank you guys for the people that followed and showed up. Thank you for those who are watching on Twitter or on Periscope. It's really nice to see all these people joining and watching this mystery unfold. I will be back tomorrow to continue some more, possibly a little bit longer. Get a few hours in so we can all watch the mystery unfold even further. There's